Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Joe, Smokin Joe's Pit Barbecue. On today's video, I'm smoking up this Wagyu tri-tip from Midland Meat Company, but I'm gonna smoke it like a brisket. You don't wanna miss this. Stay tuned. All right, so what we got here is a Wagyu tri-tip from Midland Meat Company, and this is a fat cap side. It's good to see that they left a lot of the fat on there, because on my Yoder Frontiersman, the heat is gonna come from the bottom, so I'm not gonna trim any of this fat at all because I want this tri-tip to be protected. Now, traditionally, you want to smoke a tri-tip to about 135 degrees, let it rest for about 15-20 minutes, and then slice into it. But I've always wondered what a tri-tip would taste like if you smoked it like a brisket. So I'm going to take this tri-tip up to about 205 degrees today. Now, you probably don't want to do this to a select tri-tip or even a choice tri-tip, because I think it'll dry up too much on you. So try to get a Wagyu tri-tip or a prime if you can. But again, beautiful looking tri-tip. This is probably a 3.5 pound tri-tip, and it's got a little bit of fat on the top. It's got some silver skin. I'm just gonna trim a little bit of this on the top just to make it look nice. But again, the fat cap, I am not gonna trim any of that off. So just some advice, don't cut too much of your tri-tip, especially if you're gonna be smoking it like a brisket like this. Because some of this fat actually is going to do you pretty good. It's going to help protect the meat, especially on a long cook like that. Okay, so just like that. All I'm worried about is some of this silver skin, and that's what I want to take off. Just try to stay right above that meat, just like that. Take a little bit of this fat off here. Again, just glide your knife. Make sure your knife is nice and sharp. Glide your knife on top of that. And I am wearing a cut glove, just in case you guys are wondering. This is this glove right here. That's just in case the knife slips on me. I don't want to cut myself, obviously. And I like these from the company Cut. They make some knives, K-U-T-T, because it protects your wrist as well. A lot of these cut gloves are a little bit short. This one's nice and long here. So. All right, trim some of this. Okay, trim a little bit of this fat. Again, nothing too crazy. And these, this meat from Midland Meat Company, man, I've seen a lot of Wagyu beef, but the marbling from the Midland Meat Company, their briskets, the tri-tip, their beef ribs, everything is nicely marbled. It's beautiful, beautiful cuts of meat. I'll see if I can expose some of this for you here. There you go. You start to see some of the marbling. Look at that. There you go. Look at that. Look at that marbling right there. Beautiful. Take some of the silver skin off of this side. A little bit more fat. Just like that. So that's about it. That's about as much as I want to do, but you can see the marbling in this tri-tip. Absolutely beautiful. I'm going to take off a little bit of the silver skin on this side. Okay, just like that. And that is about it. All right, let me grab my rubs, and I will bring you guys right back, so stay tuned. All right, so I've got my rubs here. Now, before I put the rub on this tri-tip, I am going to use some injection from Cosmos Q. This is their brisket injection, and that's the absolute best stuff in the world. So I've got it mixed up. I just mixed up with water, as the instructions say, and I'm gonna go ahead and inject this. Again, I'm gonna take this tri-tip to a place that it's not used to. I know a lot of you are used to cooking tri-tip the way I normally do it. In fact, I did one not too long ago. I'm gonna leave a link up top so you guys can see that video. And that one was absolutely delicious. So just gonna put some of this injection in here. Ooh, yeah, it's getting nice and puffy. And when you put your injection in, kind of make a pocket in there. You are going to lose some, but that's okay. That's why you want to use enough of this injection. Perfect. Whoa. Squirted on me. Look at that. Getting nice and puffy. Perfect. Now this smaller edge, I am going to keep it away from the firebox because it is kind of thin. And I don't want that to get overcooked. So this piece here is going to face my firebox. And because it is the thickest part of the meat. You'll see how I'm going to position that in my smoker, my Yoder Frontiersman. And if it starts to puff up on you, keep injecting. That means you found a good pocket to inject in, okay? All right, so that's about it. And the rest of it, you can just kind of rub it on the top and use that as a binder, if you will. So the very first rub that I'm going to use is a garlic jalapeno from Victory Lane Barbecue. It's a rub that I always use. You guys know that. Man, that injection has an amazing beef aroma coming out of it. Okay, just like that. Get the opposite side as well. Beautiful tri-tip. Okay. And the second rub is this rub that I'm working on. Excuse me. This is a good beef rub. It's not out yet, not available to purchase. Soon. It's an absolutely delicious rub here. Heavy on the pepper, as you can see. Just kind of pat it in there. And go ahead and grab the other side. And again, don't be afraid to put enough rub because again, when you slice this tri-tip, it's going to be kind of thin, so you're only going to get a thin piece of this rub that I'm applying. All right, I'm gonna let this rest for about 15 minutes. Let it come to room temperature. And I'll see you guys outside of the smoker, so stay tuned. All right, we're outside of my Yoder Frontiersman. Now I do have this Inkbird thermometer that I am gonna use. You can see that my temperature on probe number 1 is right at 275. So it's time to go ahead and put the tri-tip in. I'm gonna try to maintain that temperature between 260 and 275. This Inkbird thermometer does come with a probe for my grate temperature, as you guys can see there. And it's different than these probes here, your meat probes. This probe just sits on the inside. So I positioned it there because I am going to put my tri-tip right around this area here on the bottom shelf. I did take off the top shelf of my Frontiersman. And there's that tri-tip right there. So again, I put the thick part towards the firebox and the real thin part that you find on tri-tips, it's towards the exhaust. So again, I'm going to try to smoke this between 260 and 275. And this probe actually, I'm just going to put it right in the middle just like that. Okay. Now, I'm not looking for internal temperature at all. I'm just going to look for a nice color, but I do want to monitor that temperature. So once I have a nice crust built up, at that point I'm going to go ahead and spritz with apple cider vinegar and water, but probably not for about an hour and a half. So not sure how long this is going to take. I'm thinking maybe 3 hours. So see you guys in about an hour and a half. So stay tuned. All right, it's been an hour now exactly, and I'm using my phone app for this Inkbird, and the pit temperature is 264, and my tri-tip temperature is 144. So let's see what we look like. Oh yeah, looking good. Still not the color I want on it. There we go. But I'm gonna go ahead and spritz because that rub is set nice and crusty. And so far it's, I gotta tell you, doesn't look burnt. Looking really good. So just a little bit of spritz with apple cider vinegar and water. Give it a good spritz. Oh yeah, looks absolutely delicious. So probably gonna give it another, I don't know, 30 minutes or so. We'll come back and look at the color at that point, so stay tuned. All right, so we're at an hour and a half now, and let's take a look at this tri-tip. I think I've got the color I want. Oh yeah, absolutely gorgeous. So the internal temperature is 170 right now. Still really juicy. It kind of puffed up. Hopefully you guys can see that. There we go. So at this point, I'm just gonna wrap it in foil. I'm gonna go ahead and leave the probe in instead of wrapping it and then probing the foil. I don't want any foil pieces on the inside of my meat, so just gonna wrap this up in some foil paper. Nice and tight. Okay, just watch your probe here. Just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put it again in the same position, fat side down, with the thicker part of the tri-tip towards the firebox. So gonna just monitor the temperature, probably 201 degrees or so. I'm going to come back and unwrap it and probe it and make sure it's tender, so stay tuned. Alright, so it's been 2.5 hours now, and the internal temperature of my tri-tip is 187 degrees. So what I did is I opened up the foil and put the tri-tip inside of a foil pan, and I put some beef broth on just the bottom side of that pan, and that's going to give me a nice au jus with the juices that were already inside the foil as well. So at this point, again, we have 13 degrees to go. I'm going to leave it open like this, and the reason I did this is because anytime that you use foil on a brisket, or a tri-tip in this case, or a pork shoulder, that foil tends to soften up your bark, and I don't like that. I like my bark where I can run my fingernail on it and not disturb the rub whatsoever. Again, foil will soften up your rub, or your bark, I'm sorry, and your rub. So I'm going to let that cook uncovered for the remainder of the 13 or 15 degrees to go. So I'm thinking another 30 minutes, and we'll see you guys inside. I'll let you know exactly how long it took, so stay tuned. All right, welcome back. So the tri-tip is ready, and the total cook time was 3.5 hours, and I did let it rest for about 20 minutes in the foil pan covered with foil, and I do have enough au jus here to dip the tri-tip into as well. So let's slice into this. Now, tri-tips, the meat comes in different directions, just like a brisket, okay? So right here on this pointy part, the meat, or the grains, I'm sorry, they come this way. So I'm gonna slice it. I can see it here, right around here, right here. Oh man, this sucker is tender. See what we got. Look at this baby. Juicy. I'm not going to press on it to get the juices out, but you see that smoke ring on there? Beautiful looking smoke ring. Got that fat cap on there that protected the meat as well. So man, look at that smoke ring. Really, really nice smoke ring. Man, this looks beautiful. I'm gonna get this thing sliced up, and we'll come back for the taste test. Stay tuned. All right, so I got the tri-tip all sliced up, and the only thing left to do is to give it a taste. And I gotta tell you, first off, it smells absolutely amazing. The smoke ring on this tri-tip is extremely pronounced. And I'm just gonna grab a slice here. Got the au jus all over the cutting board from slicing it. But look at this. Hope you guys can see that smoke ring and how juicy it is. I'm just gonna dip it in the au jus here. Man, it's like super, super tender. So cheers, guys. Oh. Man. There's something very magical about this tri-tip and that flavor. So tender. And you know, the flavor is not like a brisket either. I want to see if I can describe this. It's almost like a ribeye steak, really tender ribeye steak, good smoky flavor to it. I got to tell you that the marbling inside of this Wagyu tri-tip is what kept it juicy. Absolutely amazing. I'm going to give my daughter a little piece here. She's my camera lady. Give us a shot, baby. Give us a thumbs up if you like it. Like it? Oh man. Guys, this is absolutely delicious. So what can you do with this? Maybe a tri-tip sandwich, chop it up, maybe some tri-tip tacos. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with this, or just eat it as is. Mashed potatoes, maybe some veggies. Absolutely delicious. Will I do this again? Absolutely, I will. It's so good. You know, I'll probably cook a few of these instead of just one, but as you can see, this one rendered quite a bit of tri-tip. I mean, you could feed easily 6 people, 7 people with this tri-tip. Absolutely amazing. Hope you guys like this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If this is your first time here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Till next time, Joe at Smokin Joe's Pit Barbecue. See ya.